Well, today I'm in windy Wiltshire, just outside Putney, and this is Woodside Lakes, a gorgeous little three-lake complex. I'm fishing Alder Pool tonight, which is the bottom lake, but in the meantime I'm going to catch up with Richard, who's the owner, and he's going to run us through the lakes and tell us what they're all about, and hopefully we'll show you a carp or two as well. Well, Richard, first and foremost, thanks for having us down.
That's all right.
So we're at Woodside, that's in Putney?
Putney, Devizes, Wiltshire.
Yeah. And then this is the top lake, also known as the Specimen Lake, I believe.
That's it, yeah.
And then what sort of size is it? What can people expect when they come here?
So it's about 2.5 acres to 3 acres. It's 8 years old with fish in it. Dug it 10 years ago.
Right, okay, yeah.
630s out this winter.
Wow.
So stocked with 4 to 10 pound C4s 8 years ago, and then it's been quite slow starting, but the last few years, started getting a few 20s, and then this year we've had 630s, and there's quite a few 27s, 28s, 29s coming out.
Yeah, because I mean the growth rates that I've seen, I think I first met you about 18 months, nearly 2 years ago, probably now. Yeah. And I think there was one just sort of knocking 30, but never quite made it. Yeah. And then, like you say, we've seen 6 come through. Yeah. And I imagine you think there's going to be a few more as well.
Well, with the 27s and upper 20s that are there, I'd like to think this year there'll be, at least another 5 really. Yeah. But we netted it last year. Took loads of silvers out, which we don't normally get.
You're going to get that in as well, Greg. So we've got 6 swims, and they're all along the one side, aren't they?
All on one side, yeah.
And you limit it to 5 anglers.
5, yeah.
Which I think gives everyone the chance, A, to move if they want. They've got a lot of water, and the way you've dug it is quite a unique shape, because obviously, like you say, you can't fish from the other side. You can walk around and watch fish, put a bit of bait in, and everyone's got features as well. Yeah. What's happening under the surface? Sort of what depths have we got and stuff like that?
It's sort of 4 to 6 foot is the average depth. The margins are all quite shallow. There's a sunken island in the middle between peg 2 and 3. Okay. That's 3 foot of water on top of that, and then it drops to sort of 5, 6 foot. Yeah. A lot of fish hold up around that in the summer. They get over the top of it quite a bit when it warms up, and it holds fish in the winter as well. Pegs 3 and 4 is a kind of double peg. Okay. So with booking out the 5 pegs, if people double up in 3 and 4, it leaves an empty peg at one end. Okay, so if you have 2 at one end of the lake, the 5th angler always gets an extra bit of water at the other end.
Oh, nice. And again, the clarity is generally quite good. I've been down here in the summer as well, and lurking around the back and tucking through the bush, and that you generally can always find them, and they show themselves, don't they?
They're showing quite a lot in the summer, and most commonly over that island. Yeah. But they're always in the margins, and it's quite easy to walk around onto the far side and see a few fish.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of catch reports, especially coming through the last few months on catch. A lot of the better fish, like you say, caught an array of tactics. But what would you say for someone that hasn't been here before is a good tip, if you like? What would you say to point them in the right direction?
Solid bags and fishing 2 fish. The margins do fish. Sometimes it's worth baiting a margin and leaving it and fishing it later on. But anywhere generally is off the back margin does fish.
Okay, ideal.
If you're here for a bit longer, I mean, if you're catching fish, just keep topping it up.
Yeah.
And keep the bait going.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, hopefully I'll catch one out of here one day.
That'd be nice. I'd like to see. I'd like to see you do one.
Wouldn't we both?
Yeah.
Right, we'll go and look at the other lakes.
Lovely.
Right, so this is the middle lake, and I think when I first come here, it was still one sort of a pleasure match kind of venue, weren't it, originally?
Yeah, I originally just put carp and tench in it, and then put some skimmers, roach, perch, and then it had 21 pegs on it. It was getting booked for matches, probably 25 a year, something like that. And then, fished as a general mixed sort of course lake, carp to sort of low doubles.
But I mean now it's what, 5 acres in size roughly?
Yeah, 5 acres.
And you've got big plans for this moving forward. It's no longer going to be that sort of pleasure lake, if you like. From what, September this time, it's going to be purely all about the carp again.
Yeah, September this year, December just gone, drained it to about 2 foot of water, and then netted it, took all the fish out, got rid of all the silvers, the roach, the perch, and then restocked it with some C5s, sort of 21. Biggest was 21.8. There's quite a few 20s, 19s, 18s.
And again, it's real nice in the fact that there's various different bays and there's 2 islands, I think, aren't there? And
yeah, one at each end. It's probably 8 foot average depth through the middle.
It's the deeper out of the lakes as well than all of them.
It is the deeper. That's why it makes more sense for it to be a carp lake. It's a bigger, deeper lake. It will grow the fish better. The car park end's the shallower end, so the bottom side of the car park island's sort of 6 foot, and then all up through the middle of the rest of the lake, you know, is average sort of 7 to 8 foot really.
Incredible example of some of the stockies that have gone in here. Absolutely unreal. Beautiful colouring, lovely scales, and they give a great scrap as well. Plenty to go at. Yeah, brilliant. I think we're like you said in the Specimen Lake as well, of how much they've grown as well in the last 2 years, and if you can even replicate a little bit of that here with the stock. I've seen some of the pictures and they're stunning fish. It's going to be a venue that is sort of, comes into its own, I think, really quickly.
But yeah, it will be the same sort of thing as the Specimen Lake, and kind of what I'm doing with Alder Pool as well is that, it won't be an easy water, but there'll be some decent fish in it, and it won't be a hard water either. But there is probably some smaller fish in here that we missed when we netted it. You never get everything out. And I have seen a few smaller fish jump in, so there is going to be some of those in here. So it'd be interesting to see how it fishes before I open it, and also how they grow this summer.
Yeah. And again, I mean, with you constantly doing work on the other lakes, I'm sure it'll be exactly the same with this. You'll keep an eye on the stock, assess what's going on, and just sort of adjust and amend till you've got that happy balance again, I guess, really.
Yeah, that's the general gist of it. I think it's just a case of netting it and keeping an eye on it and making sure that they're getting the food that they need and they've got the space that they need, and then they should do quite well in it.
Well, we have been very privileged to be able to wet a line on the Middle Lake, and these fish are hungry. And if it continues to go the way it's gone now, it's going to be a great place. Great place to come and get a bend in the rod. Real mix of fish as well. And there'll be a few 20s, I imagine, kicking around as well. There's a couple of low 20s already. The wind's been playing up, so we thought we'd relax a bit, sit behind the rod before we could do some filming with this little solid bag glove in common. But he's very welcome. All right, so this one's Alder Pool, and this is the bottom lake. And is it the smallest lake? I guess it is?
It is the smallest lake, smaller than the Specimen Lake, but not a lot, but it is a bit smaller.
Yeah, and again, you operate this on this just 2 double swims. So is it, again, a maximum of 4 anglers on it?
Maximum of 4 anglers. I did 2 double swims, mostly because you're guaranteed a double swim, with there being no double swims as such on the Specimen Lake.
Okay.
It just gives that option.
Yeah. And again, what sort of the stock are we looking at in here then, really?
I'd say about 100 fish in here. I was using it as a stock pond, took about 2 foot of water out of it, netted it, transferred a lot of the small fish into the match lake a couple of years ago, 3 years ago. and then I put 21 or 20, quite a few high doubles and mid doubles in it, and yeah, it's gone from there really. We've had 28 is the lake record.
Okay.
Quite a few mid 20s in here now, and quite a lot of 20s coming out. It's probably averaging sort of high doubles, a few sort of 14s, and that's sort of the lower end of it. But it's a good chance for 20 in it.
And again, I've seen, as well as some of the photos you've shown me, we've watched a few shows sort of since we've been here throughout the day, and it's quite a nice mixture of fish as well. You've got one sort of real heavily plated thing, and then a few of the other ones are a bit more sparser, and you've got a couple of linears, a few commons. There's a lot going on as well.
Yeah, there's a mix, because it was the stock pond. The original, you know, the nicest fish, they're all really sort of hand-picked fish in here, because I've filtered them out of the Specimen Lake. Some of the better fish that came out of the Match Lake, you know, they're picked out of each lake, so there's a lot of nice fish in it.
I've really, the margins again are similar to sort of the Specimen Lake. They're quite shallow, and then depths of what, sort of 6 foot in the middle?
6 foot, 7 foot. The end behind us is sort of 7 foot.
Okay.
This is slightly shallower, this bottom end against the road. Yeah, the margins are all fairly shallow. The roadside margin is a bit steeper than the rest of it, and the islands, very shallow around the islands.
So what tips would you give someone?
Well, sometimes in here they do respond to a bit of bait. It's always worth putting a bit of bait on one rod and seeing how it goes. If they're having that, then you know, keep a bit more in. But a lot of people do fish the solid bags. It really depends if you're catching. It can be a bit moody sometimes. Generally, if the top lake's fishing, this lake's fishing.
Yeah, it's going to be a good lake this in a couple of years' time. Like I was saying to Rich earlier, it's going to be a couple of 30s in here, we imagine. To keep putting on the weight like this one does.